guard is a position in basketball that shares the backcourt with the point guard. Traditionally speaking, the role of a shooting guard is to score, and as time has passed, the way that shooting guards put the ball in the basket has expanded quite a bit. A lot of this has to do with their adaptability, and because of the average height of a shooting guard, as well as the skill set that most two guards share, one can make an argument that the shooting guard position has easily become one of the most versatile and flexible positions in the game of basketball. And that versatility continues to get pushed every decade that passes us by, thanks to various pioneers of the game. From simple and humble beginnings to a very deep and extravagant talent pool, the evolution of the shooting guard position is one that is quite extensive. So first, as we always do, let's start from the beginning. And honestly, there really isn't that much to report on when it comes to shooting guards in the first 15 to 20 years of NBA history. Of course, there are a few players that I have to highlight, players such as Sam Jones and Bill Sharman, who both played for the Boston Celtics. And even though, yes, they did have some individual success, a lot of their legacy is predicated on the team success that they saw playing next to Bill Russell. And then on the other hand, you do have players who are a bit more established as an individual, such as Richie Gerwin, who was a shooting guard who played for the New York Knicks. And then you have Hal Greer, who was possibly the most noteworthy shooting guard within his 15 to 20-year span, who was a 10-time All-Star, a 7-time All-NBA recipient, and won a championship in 1967 playing for the Philadelphia 76ers as he played alongside Chet Walker and Wilt Chamberlain. But outside of those four players, the shooting guard position was fairly scarce, and honestly, the level of innovation from those pioneers was very marginal as well. Now, there are two factors for why this is so. The first one being that offenses in the early stages of NBA history were very archaic. Outside of ball handlers and post players, the odds that a team would run an extravagant play for any other player on their court was very slim. So, if you were an off-ball player, such as shooting guards and small forwards, your impact was very little. And even if you were the size of a shooting guard, but a really good ball handler, more than likely you would be slide to what we would perceive to be the point guard position. And the reason why I'm very particular on my words is because in the early stages of NBA history, there really and truly weren't that many distinctions on positions. Sure, you had your guards, your forwards, and your centers, but I really and truly did not find that much evidence of there being a player specifically being labeled as a point guard or a shooting guard or even a small forward or power forward. It seems as if positions is a relatively new concept throughout NBA history, which is why certain players' positions, such as Jerry West, is up for interpretation. And the same thing can be said even with a handful of players that I listed off, such as Hal Greer and Sam Jones, on what position they played when they were in the NBA. So because of those factors, the type of play that we would expect from a traditional shooting guard wasn't established until the 70s. Speaking of...
I'm open! Over here! I'm open! I'm open!
Shooting for three.
Fuck.
Y'all ready for this? Go! Y'all boogie here! Y'all boogie here! Hey, you.
Which, the level of diversity from the shooting guard position really took the next step during the 70s and early 80s. Now, of course, you had a few players who still blurred the lines between the one and the two guard. Players such as Paul Westphal, World B. Free, Fred Brown, Earl Monroe, Gail Goodrich, average. And possibly the two most successful and innovative players have to be Dennis Johnson and Pete Maravich. As Johnson, ironically, ended his career as a point guard, however, began his time in the league as a shooting guard, playing for both the Seattle Supersonics and the Phoenix Suns. And his well-rounded play made him a more than capable scorer and a really good passer, but most noteworthy was his effort on the defensive end, as he ended his career making 9 all-defensive teams. However, his most honorary award that he received throughout his career happened in his third year in the league in 1979, as he was not only able to win a championship with the Seattle Supersonics, but also was named Finals MVP. And then you have Pete Maravich, who is easily one of the most innovative players the sport has ever seen, regardless of position. As Pistol Pete Maravich was an aggressive scorer who played for the Atlanta Hawks and the New Orleans Jazz, and to go along with his aggressive take on scoring was also a level of risk-taking that we saw with his passing and flamboyancy that we saw with his dribbling that helped innovate all ball handlers across the board. Behind the back, no look, heck, even elbow passes, all originate from Maravich's imagination. And the lineage of Pistol Pete can clearly be seen today in players such as James Harden. But the two players that really helped define what we would consider to be traditional volume scoring shooting guards has to be David Thompson and George Gervin. Two amazing slashers who had an impeccable first step, and quite honestly were some of the best leapers the league had ever seen at that time, not named Dr. J. And their association with being prolific scorers became undeniable once they perfected the mid-range jump shot. And to be a bit more specific, when it comes down to David Thompson, he's more so known for finding the right angles and understanding when and how to attack the basket, and could finish very ferociously, but again, had a very reliable mid-range jumper if the defense decided to play off a little bit. Now, unfortunately, his resume may not look that impressive, but it's largely because his career was short-lived due to his unfortunate battles with demons off the court. But his impact was still undeniable, as the greatest shooting guard of all time, Michael Jordan, has openly stated multiple times that he patterned his game behind the original Skywalker in David Thompson. And then when it comes to George Gervin, he was able to piece together a more well-rounded style of offensive threat with dribble pull-ups, post-ups, dunks, and as many of us are aware, his very fine touch at the rim that would translate to a finger roll. And luckily, Gervin was able to perform at a high level for an extended period of time, so his impact was not only undeniable, but we were able to witness his full potential. And with that full potential achieved, George Gervin ended his career as a 12-time All-Star, a 7-time All-NBA performer, a 2-time All-NBA performer, and led the league in scoring for 4 years, 3 of which happened consecutively. But more importantly is that George Gervin was one of the very few shooting guards in NBA history who could prove that he could be a consistent MVP caliber player, and also had some fairly successful postseason runs, but unfortunately fell short to teams that honestly were just more talented than the San Antonio Spurs. But regardless of their success or lack thereof, both David Thompson and George Gervin are the architects to what we would consider to be traditional high-volume scoring shooting guards, which is a great transition to the Jordan era.
You take mine, I'll take yours.
No need to rush. Slow it down. Nice pass.
I'm open. I'm here.
Now, I don't want to make it seem like Michael Jordan was the only great shooting guard in the mid to late 80s and throughout the 90s, because that just isn't true. There were plenty of innovators and pioneers when it comes to floor spacing and three-point shooting, such as Dale Ellis, Mitch Richmond, and of course Reggie Miller. And also, I don't want to make it seem as if like David Thompson and George Gervin were the only two players with a heavy hand in influencing the next generation of two guards, because there are plenty of players who took a page right out of Dennis Johnson's book, such as Alvin Robinson and Sidney Moncrief, two players that would go on to win Defensive